Recently, I got a comment on a video asking, "So my friend, could you rate D&D versus Daggerheart? Closed eyes, smiling face with teeth? No easy task, I'm sure. Well, Wayne, guess what? It is an easy task, but not in the way that you might think." Listen, I know that this comment was made in jest because I recently posted a video with very glowing things to say about Daggerheart because we just finished season 1 of our Daggerheart campaign, Bitten, which you should totally check out, by the way. It's an amazing actual play, and I'm not just saying that because I'm biased, because I'm in it. But I say all that to say, I've been asked a lot what I think about Daggerheart. Am I going to quit D&D in order to play Daggerheart, switch all my content over to talking about it, etc., etc., etc. And I do want to talk about that in this video. However, before we get into that discussion, I feel like the overall discussion of Daggerheart and D&D, or Daggerheart versus D&D, is a bit of a poisoned well of a discussion, because I think you have kind of like 3 groups of people. One group of people just want to know other players' general thoughts who've actually experienced the system, and that's totally cool, and that's what I'm going to do later on in this video. But then I feel like you also have kind of like newer players, whether it's to TTRPGs or this form of heroic fantasy genre of TTRPGs in general, and they want to know how the game is, how it functions. Is it good, or which one should they go towards, be it D&D or Daggerheart, because they feel like they might have the easiest time getting into the hobby with those games. And then I'd say the last group are people who are looking to validate opinions that they've already had made up about each game before they even clicked on this video. It's very frustrating because we're having similar discussions happen in the gaming space. This happens every single year with Call of Duty, and I think there's a lot of similarities between D&D and Call of Duty, with them being synonymous with the hobby and the highest selling game within the hobby. And because of that, there is such an emphasis on the D&D killer, the Call of Duty killer, right? We're having this conversation right now in the gaming space with Battlefield, the same way we just had this conversation with Splitgate 2. What a wonderful and inventive game that was. Reinventing the wheel with Battle Royale. But then we also had that previously with X-Defiant and so on and so forth. And a mutual of mine, Matt, has a really good video on TikTok where they're going through their whole entire collection of TTRPGs or the games that they've played before that touted themselves as being the D&D killer. And I mention all of this to say that a lot of online discourse or discourse within nerd spaces is manufactured, be it by the companies themselves or content creators within the space who profit from very divisive conversations, right? People who stoke the flames with the top 10 reasons why D&D sucks and Daggerheart rules, or top 5 reasons why Daggerheart is absolute trash and I'm never going to play it, and Critical Role also sucks, etc., 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 right? And there is a whole entire industry behind it. Like how the terminology for the console wars is actually a marketing term that was created by gaming companies in order to create that even more fervent parasocial relationship between the customers and their products, right? A lot of these conversations that we have online are manufactured in order to generate the most clicks as much as possible. I would rather we not engage with that. The whole entire point of me mentioning all of this is because I want to set you up for these questions. Do you enjoy playing the game that you are currently playing? Do you want to try a different game? If you were to try a different game and you also enjoyed that one, would you and all the players at your table feel comfortable switching to another system, or just playing both systems at the same time? And if you want to continue playing and supporting the company that creates that game, do you feel like they ethically live up to the standards that you have that you would want from a company? That's it. That's all that matters when it comes to Daggerheart versus D&D. As long as the people at your table are enjoying themselves, that's it. That's all that matters. And even to try these games out to see if you like them, you don't need to pay a single dime, not a penny. All you need is a piece of paper, a pencil, and some friends, and your imagination, which is the most important part. And you can play and try out any of these games and their systems and their mechanics and see if they fit for you. The only thing that matters in this debate of systems, just like it was with Pathfinder, just like how it'll be with Draw Steel. It doesn't matter the system. What matters is that if you enjoy the game, you play the game. And if you want the company that makes your game to survive and you enjoy that company, you should support them in whatever way that is, feasible for you to do so. That's how they stick around. That's how they survive, right? There's no toppling the giant within the industry, even as much as people may want to see them fail or fall, etc. There's no doing that. There's not going to be a D&D killer. There's not going to be a Call of Duty killer. But what there can be is a game that's an alternative that you really, really enjoy and that you and your friends all play. All right. Now, with all that being said, what do I think about Daggerheart and D&D currently? And that's where things get a little bit tricky. One, I'm not going to rate things on a scale of 1 to 10. It's just very reductive, and it kind of takes away all the nuance of when you're discussing things in general. So I'm not going to give a rating. And I think my thoughts are more so in line with the category of people that I mentioned before who are newer players to the space in general, because I only started playing TTRPGs in 2021. So I am generally new to this space. However, I think I have done more than your average Joe has when it comes to playing TTRPGs in general. I've run games in person, paid games. I've done events where I'm teaching people how to play on the spot when we did our D&D at a bar events with a company called Fumbles and Crits. I've done fundraiser events playing D&D. I've been commissioned to play online. I've run the whole gambit, as well as also playing professionally as a paid actor on a show, and have done multiple actual plays when I think you count them all together is about a couple 100 hours worth of performance. And on top of that, I've played Daggerheart, which is more than some people can actually say who've reviewed the system as a player, but not as a GM. But with that being said, I've got a little bit of weight behind what I'm saying while also still being new and having fresher eyes to this hobby in general. And also I've branched out and played other games as well. So that's kind of the perspective I'm coming from going into this discussion. And I think I'd have to say that currently as we stand, I really, really enjoy Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and especially the 2024 update. It felt like a good quality of life change. If we're talking about video game analogies, it reminds me a lot of Operation Health for Rainbow Six Siege, for anybody who still remembers that, and all the memes that came along with it. But genuinely for me, the 2024 update gave a big breath of fresh air into the game that was necessary for me, and I love almost all of the changes that have been made to the game, and it's very refreshing. However, I think the key difference for me when it comes to Daggerheart and Dungeons & Dragons is the mechanical ability to support the types of stories that I want to tell. My decision for which system I prefer doesn't come down to too much between like the actual dice rolls or certain system mechanics. Like I enjoy both mechanically to a certain degree, but the hope and fear system, the way the stress system works, the way that things are more collaborative when it comes to Daggerheart fit the type of stories that I'm trying to tell. I know that is a bit more of a like woo esoteric answer. It's not something you can like fit in a spreadsheet, but for me currently as a storyteller, as someone who not only plays in private, but plays on screen and plays for audiences, Daggerheart supports the type of stories that I want to tell and the things that I want to put out in the world, and it, down to a fundamental level, more easily helps me and my players engage with what we are trying to put out there, right? And what we are trying to create. And that's where Daggerheart for me personally has that leg up. I feel like I have exhausted most of everything I want creatively out of Dungeons and Dragons, besides things that I want to test out that are homebrew when it comes to like settings and classes and subclasses. But beyond that, I feel like Dungeons and Dragons doesn't have anything else to give me right now that's captivating. Like I can't think of a single story that I want to tell or create or craft that wouldn't be better served by just putting it in Daggerheart, which has a more engaging system for gameplay and narrative, to me personally. And I know people probably feel the same way about that for when it comes to things like Pathfinder or DC-20, Draw Steel, etc., etc., etc. And I think that's a key component of picking a system that often gets overlooked. Like, yes, like you can bend and break certain systems in order to try to fit the mold of the story that you're trying to tell. But genuinely, some games just fit and flow and work better when you're trying something else. Some games are just going to fit better when you're doing a Kids on Bikes. It's going to fit better when you're playing Call of Cthulhu. It just depends. And I think that that's currently where I'm at as a TTRPG player and a storyteller. I'm just looking for a system that is going to support the story that I'm trying to tell in that current point in time. And right now, D&D is not really fitting any of that. I'm moving forward with some stuff just out of the necessity of like time-wise. I have to stick with D&D for certain projects. But if I had the choice right now, I would switch every project that I had over in D&D currently over into Daggerheart if I could. But just like logistics-wise, it's a whole thing. So with all that being said, right now currently I do prefer Daggerheart over D&D, but I still enjoy playing D&D. I just played a game of it 2 days ago or so, and I also played one of the adventures in the Dragon Delves or the Dungeon Delves, whichever one is the latest adventure with D&D where it's like all dragons. I had a copy of it provided to me by Roll20, which I appreciate them for that. And I really, really enjoyed that adventure. Like, it sucks that there are so many talented people kind of stuck there when it comes to Wizards of the Coast, because man, those are some really good adventures in there. They were really fun and really engaging, and they've been putting out some really good products, but they are just like completely hamstrung by upper management that just, it feels like hates D&D. Like, it feels like they hate the fact that they are in the tabletop space and just wish the IP of Dungeons and Dragons was anything else other than a tabletop game, right? Just for monetization purposes. So it is what it is, but that's just currently where I'm at. And I just want to encourage you all to look beyond the zeitgeist of what's hot, what's fresh, what's new, and just play the games that fit the stories that you want to tell. Let go. I know everyone's trying to clickbait and push people towards this and pull people towards that. I'm quitting and you should too. You should switch to this. You should switch to that. I just think it's so important right now to encourage people to just try new things and play the things that you enjoy. Like, there is so much, and I like, I won't go too far into it, but like, man, it's rough out here in the TTRPG space here on YouTube. Like, you guys are getting it rough with people who have clickbait and agendas for things that they want to push onto the players, and it's brutal. It's brutal to watch. And yeah, I see why there is such a hankering in content for people who are trying to have more meaningful discussions about these games, and it's so difficult to have because of the current, like, I don't know, ecosystem or atmosphere or whatever is the best terminology for describing the space that we're currently in for discussing TTRPGs here on YouTube. But I completely see where people are in desperate need of something more refreshing in that regard when it comes to these discussions. But genuinely, let me know what you think and what system that you are currently preferring for telling the stories that you want to tell. Let me know in the comment sections down below. All right, get down there. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. And if you want to see more interesting and entertaining discussions like this, make sure that you subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're liking this even more, you're like, Daniel, I need more content. I need to get stuff early. I need to get engaged. I need to get active with what you're doing. Hey, patreon.com/Daniel K. Hardgrove. You head over down there. pay whatever you like, or whatever you think the content is worth, or just join for free, and occasionally I post stuff on there for free. Go ahead and check that out. I greatly appreciate you being here. All right, play the games that you enjoy. Please, just be happy. The world is too dark and messed up right now to focus on games that you haven't even played and talking about how much you hate them. Just focus on the things that you know you like to play and go play them with the people that you care about. All right, and remember, joy in and of itself is an act of revolution. Peace.